Well, thank you, Ruan, for that introduction, and welcome to everybody here at King Price. We hope you have a great evening with us tonight, and you're going to enjoy it. Like Ruan said, the sun will set in about another 5 or 6 minutes. Okay, then at least these guys can see us. But at least now you know what it feels like when a spotlight is in your eyes. It's usually the guys up here, but you get that tonight. So we're going to start. Gideon and myself has told our story a couple of times at LifeWork. So we decided, well, we'll have to tell something else. But the thing is, you can't change your story, can you? We can't think out a new story, but at least we're going to try and take a new angle on it. But let me just, to introduce Gideon, he's a long-time friend of mine as well. We've come a long way. But just to give you a very quick, short bio about him. First of all, I believe he's one of the guys that truly has an internal, deep-seated belief that he's called as a Christian business person, and that he believes this is what he's called to do. He's not called to plant a church, preach. We tested him; he can't preach anyway. Yeah, no, he's better with business. He started 14 businesses in his life and closed down most of them as well. So, with profit and without profit, various ones. He went on to become the youngest person on the Telissure's board of directors ever, where he also then started Hippo, the Hippo company. So obviously they're now competition for what we're doing today. But he's the guy actually that started Hippo many years ago.
I look like it now, but
he has signs of it. Okay, there's a resemblance. But God gave him a dream to start his own insurer, do his own thing, and just to fulfill the dream that he has in his own heart. So that just quickly, maybe his background. So Gideon, so what we usually do at LifeWork, we usually have one of our speakers is what we call a life case study. So we ask a person, very often I would do those interviews, sometimes not, but we would interview one of those business people, and so that's why we do it in this style, just to give you an idea of what it feels like also when you do life work during the year. So Gideon, just your first question, just quickly, part of your bio, how did you get to King Price? You won another award. I know we spoke about that previously. One of his awards, great awards he won when he was at university, was the person that is least likely to succeed in life. Okay, so that is a trophy he still has. He got it when he was in the hostels at Tikkies, right? Okay, so just tell us from winning your first award in life, least likely to succeed, to where we today. Tell us quickly, just how did you get here?
okay. And the other reason for the questions is a lot easier to talk then. But that was in varsity by my good friend Peter, who's also today working at King Price. So we said to each other in varsity, we were at Taibos and got that award, and we thought, yes, out of this hostel of 400 people, we must be pretty bad to be voted the least likely to succeed in life. So we said, can't get any worse than this. And we booked Tweet 4. There was an ad on radio again. Onthou jy like Tweet 4? So, alles is nou by die Tweet 4. And we took the Bible and we prayed. It was 19 October 1999. And then we gave our hearts to the Lord. Before that, I think I've previous years shared some of those stories, but it was mostly beer and varsity and all of those things, and didn't get other degrees or any of those things. So, and that moment, our lives changed around. Not soon thereafter, I met Marno. So, he invited me to a camp, and that night that's probably the biggest part of it, and I hope we end with that, is he said that the people in this room, you can really change the world. And it was just like the Holy Spirit talked to me at that moment, and I had no doubt in my mind that is true. And that moment, God just changed my life around. I could literally, it's almost like you took different glasses and you see the world totally different. By the way, my girlfriend left me and we were waiters. So I was going on to Dross. I was promoted from Spur. But so life was really bad at that stage. And that's the only reason why I went to the camp as well. But anyway, and that next morning, Marno baptized me in a swimming pool, and I just had this passion to be a businessman for God, and everything from work-wise changed around. Now, I'm not going to tell you of all those stories, but then I joined Telesure as a programmer, and then eventually started lots of other companies, good and bad. And then I think the big story is probably now King Price. Is in 2006, God really placed it in my heart to start an insurance company. I then eventually in 2008 resigned and wanted to pursue that dream. And I thought it would take 6 months and get the investors lined up. It eventually took 4 years, 43 pitches, and a lot of, that's why I'm bold, a lot of every cent you have and a lot of things. I remember one thing is I said to my wife, now she's worried because I left my job and everything, is I bought the domain name kingprice.com for 500,000 Rand from a guy overseas through escrow site. And I couldn't buy a house. And I said, no man, Liffy, trust my materials. So we're buying a domain name.
How many wives has heard that before? Trust my material.
And I remember sitting at a clubhouse at one stage trying to give up your pitch number 30 or something. And that's why I started a lot of these businesses, because at some point you want to fund it yourself. And I asked God, is it truly... do I truly have to continue this, or should I give up? And I had no doubt in my mind that the Holy Spirit said to me, please, well, in Afrikaans gaan voort. Ek moet hierdie doen. And so eventually, there's lots of things that I also prayed for, but it must be a kingdom business. I want kingdom partners in there. I eventually found the Mergon Group. Don't know if you guys know, but the majority of the money goes to the Christian and charities and work of God. So eventually ended up after a long journey through that, and that's how I ended up here. But also met Marno again along the line, so maybe you must tell us how you ended up here, Marno.
The Lord had a plan with Gideon's life, and Gideon had a plan with my life, so that's basically how it happened. So what happened is actually, it's just a fantastic, although I baptized him about 18 years ago, he came to one of our cell groups for quite a while. We walked a road. I married him and his wife and blessed their children and all that stuff, the whole family. And then basically our paths separated for many years. He went to Joburg, went to Hippo, everything. And in this season where I was in 20 years in ministry as a pastor at Levende Woord, and at that stage where God just started speaking to me and my wife, he just said to us, it's time for you to go. I'm going to call you out of the family into Egypt. That's the way God spoke to us out of Joseph's life. And the message we just really got there was that the Lord said, do you believe that I've placed dreams in the pharaohs of this world? And it needs a Joseph to interpret and unlock those dreams that even the pharaohs themselves don't understand. So that was the calling, and I had to realize, well, whether those CEOs and leaders, whether they be Christian or not, God has placed a dream in their lives. For us, it's just a tremendous blessing. So in the way that Gideon on my own path, again, crossed literally in that month as I resigned, it has been a privilege to work with Gideon, unlocking this dream that I also believe is in his heart. And we've been continually busy with that whole journey for the last 5 years now. And so I don't know, Ruan had a new title for me tonight. Where is he? I'm going to think out titles for you as well when you... Culture vulture. Wow, kom jy sulke goed. Just edit that out, Flaps. Okay, so I'm responsible for the culture, the leadership training at King Price with Gideon. I believe he's the biggest culture evangelist. He's got the biggest influence on the culture. But so I've been working with him and training the leaders. We've tried to establish a culture that is highly effective and an environment. We'll say a little bit about that later. So that's but maybe Gideon just...
Well, I remember it a bit differently. He said to me, I'm gonna repent now, Gideon, and leave the church, and do you have anything for me? But that joke.
No, that was nonsense. Tell me, Gideon, culture is a great focus for you since day one. You wanted to establish a culture. Why the focus on culture? Why do you believe in that? What is it that you see? What is it what you wanted to see? Just the focus on culture. Why is that so important at King Price?
Okay, so, well, any business, I think people are the most important, and with that, probably productivity. So if you want to give your life energy into something, and I take myself as an example, if I don't want to do anything, I really don't want to do it. And I don't believe you can make anybody do anything. So only things that I've seen in life, there's a video fish. I don't know if any of you've seen it. There's a fish market somewhere. I watched that movie once, and I thought to myself, wow, if they can have a fish shop and actually be successful, have fun and all of that, then surely it can work in any environment. And that was about the time I knocked all the offices down there at Talisure, the Hippo offices and everything, and we didn't have PAs for everybody, and took the fridges out and all of that, and that worked. It was very nice. So from that day on, I said I wouldn't want to do corporate ever again. And you must have fun. So if you're going to spend your life energy at work, then at least make it count. And I think that's true for anybody that has to work for you. So to simplify it, I just say people have to want to come to work, and then they'll serve the clients better, serve people around them better, and make a difference.
One or two of the unique things you do here, what would you say one of the two things that stands out? That's unique, maybe, about Kickbox.
We have draft and popcorn and no offices. I think the two fun things I like is our management don't have leave, so we have unlimited leave. So you don't have to log it. We don't provide for it on our balance sheet or anything like that. You would be amazed how counterintuitive or
counterproductive.
Yeah. That is. It's people take less leave actually, and because you can measure everything. I mean, everything here is on a stat. And then there we have a quitting bonus. So if a new staff member joins here and in the first 2 weeks of training feels he's not a culture fit, he can take his first month's salary plus 20,000 rand. I think we upped it.
I think it's 30,000 now.
30,000 rand.
20,000. What is it, Adele? 20,000.
Okay.
Yeah, 20,000.
Okay, we must up that because nobody's taking it. Go to 40. There's lots of other fun things that we want to try, but the thinking is just behind it. If it's going to cost us more to get you out later, if you don't think you a culture fit, and we want to look after our environment and culture, so we want to really make sure that it's the right people that join us. Yeah.
So one of the things when new people start here as well with induction, one of the very first slides we actually start with is we ask the question, do you believe you can change the world? Because that was the moment, that's the thing that changed Gideon's life. So when that, I usually refer to the seed moment. It's that moment where God just drops a seed in your spirit, something that changes your life forever. That seed moment is that moment you just know, this is what I should do with my life, or I'm going to be a businessman, I'm going to be this or that. So we start with that same thought when we start anybody new in the company. Do you believe you can change the world? And then they start looking with you with all those frowns and things. And then we say, well, if we can start changing the world on a micro scale, then maybe later on we can change the world on a macro scale. And changing the world on a micro scale means that you can have an influence on the person sitting next to you, people around you, and every single person that comes to work here will influence the culture. We stress that quite heavily from day one. You will influence our culture, so we want to make sure your attitude is right, we want to make sure you want to be here. Like Gideon said, if you don't want to be here, rather take the 20 or now just appointed 40,000 rand bonus and leave, because it's going to cost you much more to have an ineffective person, somebody who doesn't want to be here, who doesn't want to work, and get rid of that person after 2 years. It's going to be much more. So we try and make sure people want to be here. Try and work a lot on the attitude right in the beginning. Okay. Gideon, it's been 5 years. It hasn't been easy always. What is one of the most difficult things we've been through in the last 5 years, would you say? Because everybody hears this King Price thing, see our billboards everywhere, and hear rumors, and they must be making a lot of money and what. But what's been one of the toughest things we've been through?
Well, there's many. I would think. Sorry to bring in financial things, but I would think that when we put our new IT system live, so. It was about year 2 or 3, and we had to decide, do we stick with the old system, do we go with the new system, and do we run parallel systems? And we already had almost 100,000 clients, so it's a difficult decision. So we said, no, let's go with it. Let's pull the lever. And we were sitting there, and we pulled the lever, and it was lights out. So that so that was rough. to give you an idea of rough, it was, I guess in that 6 months, to give you an idea, we had 100 million planned for startup capital, which was a little bit more by that time. And we lost in that 3 months just from collections, not collecting premium, probably 180 million, lost 20,000 clients. So the ship was sinking. That was basically it. And I remember one stage, so Marno was busy during that time. He was running around and saving what he can. And it's amazing through that time, I guess, where your characters comes out. So you see your true leaders really, when you shake the boat, some guy worry about a printer, another guy really wonders is the next capital going to come in. And so it's a good thing to go through as a team, I guess. And we at one stage got army caps for everybody. So now you stop complaining about the system. We're going to go do this the old school way, the spreadsheets. And we just went through the company. Everybody had army hats on. We literally went to clients' homes, delivered gift bags. Didn't save all of them, as I mentioned, but we did absolutely everything we could. And then capture the data at night till a point where we were online. Well, fixed at least the most difficult parts. And it took a year to take us through that period. But today we have the fruits of that. So we have a system that's up to the minute. And we had to do that if we want to go be a global company. So that was a big step, I guess, in terms of going for it. And also resilience. And during that time, Marno obviously had his hands full. So maybe you must give a few examples of what you did during that time.
Yeah, so we focused on resilience for quite a while. And I remember Gideon phoning me with I had a lot of, Gideon's the type of leader that gives you a lot of preparation time. So I think he phoned me one night at 11 and said, could you please tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, you need to have something ready on resilience. You tell these people to pull up their socks and get going. And one of those messages. I said, okay, soos my aardrykskunde juffrou gesê, die nag het baie ure. So that night had a lot of hours. But I remember praying about it, and when we prayed during that stage, I said, Lord, what are we going to do? This is a very sensitive moment. People were asking me in some of the coaching sessions, Martin, are we going to make it? Should I look for another work? That was the sort of fear that was in their hearts. I said, we're going to make it. We're going to get through. We're going to go through. This is just a wave. We're just going to ride it. We're going to get through it. But I remember that night, I did a silly thing that next morning, which I just felt, because if you study resilience, it's just that ability to bounce back. It's that ability to come back in the face of perseverance, in the face of difficult situations. And I remember sort of when I prayed about it, the Lord said to me, start the session tomorrow morning with everybody going on their what is hierdie goed is elmboog. What's it? Elbows, that's a new word for us here in Pretoria. Elbows and feet. The plank position. So I said to him, everybody is going planking now. Nobody moved. They looked at me like, what did he mean planking? What is it? I said, the exercise, the training thing, planking, that thing where your stomach really burns. So they looked at me like a second time. I said, get down and plank now. So everybody went down, they planked. I said, go as long as you can. After about a minute and a half, everybody was finished. 1 or 2 I had to stop, but most was finished. I said, okay, now we're going to talk about resilience. Then we talked through all of this. At the end of that session, I said, okay, everybody back on your elbows, and let's do it again. And let's now you push yourself to your absolute maximum limit of pain. And all of a sudden, everybody doubled and went 3 times the amount they went the first session. So I said, can you see what is the ability you have to push through if you have to? If you have to endure pain, and sometimes that's what business is. You just have to carry on. You just have to endure the pain, even if it's burning and whatever it is. But you have to have that mentality. So we did a lot of stuff, army hats, tennis balls, bouncing the stuff, walking around, all sorts of stuff to remind us to push through, to keep coming back, to bounce back the whole time. And we went through it, and like Gideon says, today we've got, I think, one of the best systems in the industry, one of the newest, most state-of-the-art systems, but it was a tough time. It was a tough couple of months, a lot of money lost. Yeah. Gideon, what do you see for the future? What do you envision?
Forgive price. Okay. It would be nice to be invited here again, or give the venue, because I think at the end of the day, that's why we're here, was to be a kingdom business. And we always said we want to impact the world. So we have a deal or two to go to another continent. Hopefully by this year, next time, we could have sealed that, and you know how my head works. I see 50 countries, but I'll wait.
I can just maybe also say something what Gideon said now, just on the vision part, and just understanding something of God's calling. When he went through that spiritual experience, when I baptized him, he said, one day I want to start a company that provides thousands of jobs and give away millions of rand to the kingdom. So after 43 pitches, as we ended up with the Marno guys, so they're the majority shareholders today, and the last budget year they gave away 100 million rand just to kingdom ministries across the world, actually mostly in South Africa, then Africa and other places of the world. So at the moment, I think around about 50% of our profit goes straight to them, which goes straight into the trust fund, which was given away. So it's just seeing that dream being fulfilled is just fantastic. Gideon and myself, I think we spoke about it Friday again. So it's incredible that after about 18 years, everything it went through, we're now at that place where we can say, hey, this dream is starting to become a reality. We're starting to see the first fruits of it now that King Price has turned profitable. So we're quite excited to see that. And I think maybe I just want to encourage people here tonight to say, if you have a dream, you have that seed moment, you've had a moment like that, you believe what God has called you for, just go home tonight and plank for a couple of minutes. And no, it's going to take some pain, and it's always painful to fulfill those dreams. It's never easy. It's going to cost you a couple of 100 million maybe. Whatever it's going to be in your case, it's going to be tough, and you need to push through to fulfill God's calling on you, on your life, on your business, and whoever you need to touch. Anything from you still, Gideon?
No.
Okay, let's I'm going to maybe just say a last thought on the culture, and then we're going to open for some questions and answers, and then you're free to ask anything, and we'll try and answer it as far as we can. Just culture-wise, I think one of the things we've tried to establish here is, when you look at the way God often does things, when we read Genesis 1, we see that God creates an environment that he places his people in it. So creating a healthy environment is part of creating a healthy culture. It's sort of God's way also of creating the right place and the setting in which people can flourish. And there'll always be snakes as well, but you need to at least try and work as hard as you can to create that right environment for a culture. And then just maybe shortly also Matthew 4, Matthew 5, we're trying to see that principle come into place. Firstly, Jesus went and he chose his team that needs to work with him, went and called his disciples, says, this is my team. So team selection, people you work with, who's on your bus, extremely important. And then just right after he assembled his team, took them on the mountain, he said, sit down, Matthew chapter 5, the Beatitudes, and he said, let me give you the principles of the kingdom. This are the values, this is the way the kingdom is going to function. Blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are the meek, blessed are the ones who make peace, the peacemakers, and so on. So he gives these 10 things. He says, these are the principles of the kingdom. Hence, we have our 7 values up as well, things that we need to revisit every now and then, but to be a value-based organization, to have values in place, to live according to those values. And I think it's a biblical example of the way Jesus did it as well. Assembled his team, gave out the principles of the kingdom, modeled it, lived it, the behavior was in line. Yeah, that's in a nutshell. So, some questions.
He was a pastor, that's why.
Ruan, will you take the mic?
Thanks, my friend.